Well, hello YouTube. This is Nick from LOE Productions. We're here at the John Sebastian Show at the Park Theater in Holland, Michigan. And we're here to test the Tamron 70-200 G2 and see how it performs in a very dark setting. Derek is with me as well, and he is going to be shooting on the XT-20 with the kit lens to see how well that does. So we'll take a look at the pictures after we're all done and see how everything performed. Hope you enjoy.
What's going on YouTube? We finished up our shoot down at the theater. It was about 3 weeks ago, so there was a little bit of a lapse there, but we wanted to kind of go over our final thoughts on the Tamron and the ultimate feel of it and whether or not we would recommend buying it. Nick has shot at this theater for how many years now?
A couple years, pretty regularly.
Yeah, so, and this is part of his kit, the Nikon VR2 that we've done all of our tests on. And this was an opportunity for him to do what he does a lot, and that is shoot concerts at the Park Theater. So, you know, I guess we should start talking about the general feel of the lens and how it handled for you that night.
Yeah, one thing before that is just the theater's very dark. It's a very, very dark place. The stage, they just recently, within the past 5 months, have finally gotten some LED lights that are nice and bright. But for quite a while it was a lot of canned lighting, which is very dim and has just a lot of bad mixed lighting in that place. So this is a good test to see how the lens performed and to see how it handled. And I think it handled great. It focused very fast. It was just had a great feel. I noticed looking at these pictures, and I'll bring some of them up on the screen, that I mean it acquired focus very fast. It's really sharp. I mean, Derek's looking at some of these right now on the computer as well. I know. Oops, there it is. Before, Derek mentioned in another video that the t-stop value was a little lower than what I have. But in this low light situation, I didn't notice it at all. I was shooting at the same settings I typically shoot at with the Nikon lens.
And you didn't have to make many adjustments?
I didn't have to make any adjustments at all. I was shooting at that theater. I typically live between 3200 and 6400 ISO, which is really high. It's really high. So, and I definitely use the VR on my Nikon all the time because I'm trying to be between like 1/160th to hopefully 1/250th at the best, but usually I'm always flipping my shutter speed and using the VR to compensate. And with the Tamron, I noticed I could go down even a little bit lower. The musician that was playing there that night, he was just an old singer-songwriter from the 60s, so he wasn't moving around a lot. With a more energetic band, you couldn't get away with shooting at lower shutter speeds, but since he was standing still, it worked very, very well. I was not disappointed. It felt great.
What was your lowest shutter speed that you used that night?
I think, I'll have to look at Lightroom, but it was probably around 100th of a second, which I would never do with a full band because they're moving around too much that you just get too much motion blur. Which I did get a little bit motion blur in his hand sometimes when he's strumming his guitar, but
besides
that's yeah, I mean it's sharp. It's great. I mean, I'm shooting the wide open at 2.8. Yeah, it just was a great feel. I know some people have mentioned that with the Nikon and the Tamron, the zoom and the focus ring are reversed, and some people thought that might be an issue. I didn't find it an issue at all. I kind of just got used to it. Yeah, I got used to it very, very quickly. It wasn't a problem. I have smaller hands though, so people with bigger hands might find it a little more clunky. They might knock the focus ring, but I know there are some options, I think, with the focus mode. At least I know with the Nikon, where there's 3 different modes, and one of them is geared so if you bump this a little bit, it won't go out of focus right away. But on the Tamron, it doesn't have that, which I didn't notice at all, bumping it and knocking things out of focus. I was shooting a D800 that night. I wasn't shooting a D750 like the other tests we've done, but It's great, and well, as I'm talking, I'll definitely put some pictures up so you guys can see how well it performed.
Did you find yourself, some people have brought this up, especially the angry photographer, bumping these dials at all?
I did not, no. But again, I have small hands, so people with bigger hands, probably that might be an issue. I know that this does stick out a little bit, whereas the Nikon's
A little bit more flush.
It's a little bit more flush, but I didn't find any issue bumping any of the buttons, and they're pretty stiff, you know.
Right.
It doesn't, you gotta use force.
I think if this were on your side, swinging around, maybe getting caught on a belt loop or something, but when I've been shooting with it, I haven't noticed that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, it's a great lens. One of the things that we talked about was, one thing we can't measure right now is just the longevity of the lens. I know this Nikon has been through concert after concert, wedding, family event, out at the beach at Lake Michigan. It's
Sounds
been
like
in
it
the
made
snow.
it down the way down the stairs too.
Yeah, and my daughter dragged my camera bag down the stairs once, and I was like, oh no, I could hear it clunking and clunking, but that thing is a beast. It's built like a tank. And the Tamron seems like it's built like that, but only time will tell. So I know there's a drastic price difference between the two of them, but it's a great lens. It's definitely, I would highly recommend it for anybody looking to get a 70-200.
And I did notice too, and I think we should talk about it a little bit, is in the comments of previous videos, they talked about the focus breathing and how it's robbery to say the 200 being a 200. And they do have a point. However, if you go out and look at, I think his name is Darren Flieger, he did a studio test, and when he did that, basically when you're at 20 feet or greater from your subject, it's going to be identical to the brand new Nikon 70-200. But if we're here from the camera, yeah, you're going to notice a difference.
Yeah, and to be honest, if I'm going to do a portrait, I would actually like to use an 85 more than 200 millimeters all the way out. It's just a little bit smaller of a lens, and it's easier to hold, and it's more discreet. A 70-200, I use it a lot in concerts and wedding ceremonies. I don't use it a lot in wedding portraits. Sometimes I will, but I will usually use a prime for that, just because you can go down to 1.8 or f2 or whatever you like.
But I guess if we had to make any recommendations, you know, if you are so focused about getting that absolute 200 at close focusing range, and you're shooting pro, then I mean, and money's not an issue, to fork it out, right?
Yeah, go for the Nikon, the new Nikon.
Yeah. But you know, between these two, I gotta say, Tamron all day,
is
right.
Yeah. The only little issue was maybe the lifespan of the lens, but that's it.
But again, that would be time will tell, and that's just how rough you are on the gear.
Exactly.
And I don't know, based on the build, I feel like it should last quite some time.
It should, yeah. It should. It definitely should. I know I've used Tamron's 15-30 on some vacation trips. I've rented it, and that thing is a tank. It's built awesome. Their newer lenses are built very well, so I haven't heard many issues about them. One little small thing that I really love is this mount. I do not have to put a plate on my tripod. I can just slide it in and out, whereas this one, the Nikon, you gotta screw in a plate, and you can't slide it in and out as quick. It's kind of annoying.
It almost seems like this should be the run of the mill, doesn't it? Like the standard thing.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. That's one little thing that I've loved about it too.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll definitely be sharing some of these pictures while we've been talking, but I think that's all I really have to say about it. I mean, it's great.
I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. We've appreciated all the views. Some upcoming things, I did get a Nikon to Fuji adapter. You all know we're shooting on the XT-20 right now for one of our cameras, and I gotta say, it's been a lot of fun shooting with that and focus peaking. And I don't have to buy Fuji lenses now, unless I want autofocusing because the Nikon's so sharp. So, but look forward to that. And again, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.